All right, let's talk about someone who was basically the first ever rock star, but like way before rock and roll was even a thing. A total game changer. I guarantee you've heard his music, even if you had no idea who made it. We are talking about the one, the only, Ludwig van Beethoven.
But okay, here's the crazy part. The ultimate plot twist. Imagine the person who wrote some of the most powerful, most epic music ever couldn't even hear it himself. I mean, how does that even work? That's the mind-blowing story we're going to get into right now.
So to really get who this guy was, we gotta go back to the beginning. Think of this as his origin story. This isn't just about music. Nope. It's about a rebel who was born to shake things up.
Okay, so get this. It's 1770 in Germany, and Beethoven is born. From when he was super young, his dad, who was this incredibly strict music teacher, basically puts him through this insane training montage. You know, like in a video game, when you're just grinding to level up? That was his childhood. Hours and hours every single day on the piano and violin. And you know what? It worked. By the time he was a teenager, he was already a pro organist. But he knew to really beat the game, he had to get to the final boss level. And in the music world back then, that was Vienna. So in 1792, that's exactly where he went.
And you have to understand, Vienna was the place to be for music. It was like the Hollywood of its day. But Beethoven didn't show up just to be another face in the crowd, playing background music at some party. No way. He wasn't there to get a job. He was there to build an empire. He wanted to be his own boss, an artist who called all the shots.
So he makes it to the big city. It's officially time to level up. But the competition? It was absolutely fierce. This was his moment to prove he was the real deal.
And oh, did he deliver. He blew up almost immediately because of his piano skills. People were just floored. Think of it like a freestyle rap battle, but instead of mics, they had pianos. He was famous for just improvising, making up these incredible songs right there on the spot. But here's the really important part. Before he could start breaking all the rules, he had to master them first. So he studied with the absolute legends, guys like Joseph Haydn, and he learned that traditional classical style backwards and forwards. He basically memorized the entire rule book just so he could be the one to tear it up.
So at this point, he's on top of the world. He's a superstar, he's changing music forever, and then his greatest challenge, his ultimate boss battle, appears. And this is where the whole story just takes a massive, dramatic turn. Just think about it for a second. If your whole life, your whole passion, everything you are is built around sound and music, what's the single worst thing that could possibly happen to you?
Yeah, he started to go deaf. At first, it was just this constant ringing in his ears, but then it just got worse and worse. For a musician, that's not just a problem. It's like the ultimate debuff in a game. It's like a pro gamer suddenly going blind, or a star soccer player losing their legs. This should have been the end of his career, period.
And man, he went through it. At first, he was just terrified. He actually hid it from people because he thought it would destroy his career. Then came the despair. He seriously considered just giving up music entirely. But then came the decision. He realized, no, I have way too much art, too much fire left inside me to just quit. So he decided to fight back. He kept composing, hearing these incredible, complex masterpieces, entirely in his mind.
But here's the thing. This struggle, it didn't break him. In a weird way, it unlocked something even more powerful inside him. It kind of forced him to stop composing for other people's ears and start composing from what he heard deep inside his own soul. And this is the moment where he doesn't just bend the rules of music, he completely shatters them.
Okay, so before Beethoven, music was mostly classical. The best way to think about it is, it was polite, very elegant, very structured. It followed all the rules because, you didn't want to upset the rich people listening. But Beethoven, he basically single-handedly kicks off a whole new era, the Romantic era. His vibe was all about raw human feeling. We're talking anger, sadness, explosive joy, and epic struggle. He made music that was meant to tell a story and hit you right in the feels. Music wasn't just background noise anymore. It was the main event.
And if you're going to tell these huge emotional stories, you need a huge emotional sound, right? So what did he do? He basically gave the orchestra a massive system upgrade. He added more instruments like trombones and extra horns. He was essentially taking the sound from like standard def 480p and upgrading it to a full 4K IMAX experience.
And the new stuff he came up with, it was legendary. For one, his symphonies got way longer. They felt more like epic movies than just songs. He loved using these sudden, crazy jumps from super quiet to crazy loud to literally make you jump.
And his most famous piece, the Fifth Symphony, the one that goes da-da-da-da-dum, well, that wasn't just a random melody. He said that was fate knocking at the door. The whole symphony is a story about fighting against that fate and winning. And then, get this, for his Ninth Symphony, he does something no one thought was even possible. He brings in an entire choir of singers. That was like the first ever Marvel crossover event, but for an orchestra. It just blew everyone's minds.
So you might be thinking, okay, cool story, but this was like 200 years ago. Why should I care? Well, the reason we're still talking about him is because his impact, it's literally all around us.
Remember that crazy idea he had to put a choir in his Ninth Symphony? Well, part of that piece is called Ode to Joy, and today it's the official anthem of the entire European Union. It's a global symbol of peace and unity. And think about this. Ever watch a movie and the music just swells up and makes a scene feel super intense and epic? You can bet the composer who wrote that was inspired by what Beethoven did. His musical DNA is basically in every movie soundtrack you've ever heard.
But maybe his biggest, most important legacy is this. He completely changed what it meant to be an artist. See, before Beethoven, composers were basically seen as skilled workers, kind of like a really good chef for a tailor that a rich person would hire. Beethoven flipped that script completely. He proved that an artist could be a genius, a powerful, independent voice that could talk about big, universal ideas, about struggle, about humanity, about joy, through their work.
So, if you only take one thing away from all of this, let it be this one sentence. Beethoven taught the entire world that art isn't just something pretty to listen to. It's a powerful tool for expressing the entire human spirit, all of it. The struggle, the pain, the victory, and the pure joy.
Think about it. He faced the absolute worst-case scenario for a musician, and instead of quitting, he used it to create something totally new, something the world had never experienced. He proved that a weakness, a disability, a challenge, it doesn't have to be what stops you. It can actually be the thing that makes you create something amazing. So I'll leave you with this question. What's your challenge, and what will you overcome?